And welcome back to Newsmax Now. It's time now to take a look at your global headlines. A human rights monitoring group says ISIS fighters have now seized control of Palmyra, an ancient Syrian city. Officials there say statues and other historic antiques have been moved to safer locations. This video posted online shows smoke rising over buildings in that Syrian town. Israeli police shoot and kill a Palestinian man who they say ran over 2 officers. Reports say the police officers suffered minor injuries and were then treated at a local hospital. The attack took place in East Jerusalem. Construction workers in Germany discover a 550-pound World War II bomb. It was buried underneath a former high school. Officials evacuated 31,000 residents in the area and were able to defuse the bomb. Indonesian fishermen rescued a full boat of migrants off the coast of Thailand. Now officials in Malaysia and Indonesia agree to offer temporary shelter to some 7,000 stranded migrants. The UN's refugee agency says it welcomes this promise. And take a look at this. Italy's Mount Etna just continues to erupt, but that doesn't stop this man, as you can see, from skiing past the smoldering volcano. Etna is the most active volcano in Europe. No way.
That is some extreme skiing right there.
Yeah, right?
It's almost June. They're still skiing, I guess.
I can't. Skiing scares me enough as it is, but then you add in that there's a volcano and there's smoke going all around you. I mean, I think that takes the cake as extreme
volcanoes,
sports.
Avalanches. I love to ski, but
Would
probably
you do
not.
that?
No,
No,
probably not near an active volcano.
Good
like
idea.
That. We'll assume it's safe. He wasn't wearing a helmet either, I don't think. Let's do that these days.
No.
All right. Well, let's move on now. Last night, former U.S. ambassador to the United Nations and former GOP presidential candidate Alan Keyes joined Steve Malzberg for a discussion about the threat of ISIS, especially after the fall of Ramadi this week, and what the administration should be doing about it.
The United States helped to create this awful situation. And I don't just mean with the intervention that led to the overthrow of the government there and so forth and so on. I also mean with what appears to have been aid to the anti-Syrian rebels that then strengthened the hand of ISIS, giving them access possibly to weapons that were either of our provender or from our then partners in Saudi Arabia, so that they were equipped to grow in power and in brutality as they have done. And I think that we're again seeing the evidence that people who talk facilely, and I mean on all sides of the equation, I don't care if it's Rand Paul or Obama or anybody else, talking glibly in ways that suggest we can just retreat from the world and everything's going to be all right, don't appear to have learned the lessons of the 20th century. Think that it's possible for one of the major countries, if not still the major country on the face of the earth, to abdicate moral and actual leadership on behalf of saying, well, let them stew in their own juice, it's up to them now, no matter how much our failure of leadership and failure to cooperate with others and failure to try to enunciate what ought to be the right approach to these threats to international order. I think our failure has to be factored into this, and it's a sign, to tell you the truth, that we're now dealing with a generation of leaders who are not up to the job. In the past, we had Americans who had greater common sense, maybe fewer credentials, certainly less ties to big money, but they seem to get the job done a heck of a lot better than these people.
Wow. The assessment there from Alan Keyes, former ambassador to the United Nations. You know, when you look at the fall of Ramadi, it's reminding us so much of the fall of Mosul last summer.
Right.
We're hearing now also a lot of reports of U.S. military equipment that had been given to the Iraqi military being left behind in Ramadi, just like it was in Mosul.
It does seem like history's repeating itself time and time and time again.
Yeah, a little bit earlier than we started talking about ISIS last year, but in this past year, from last summer to this summer, what they've been able to do is just astounding, and a lot of folks questioning, including Bob Gates, as we mentioned yesterday, where's the strategy here?
But I mean, I agree with what Alan Keyes was saying, is that, you know, we can't just ignore that area and think that they're going to be able to handle the situation on their own. At the same time, I've also heard people say we meddled too much. And I think the problem is we didn't recognize at the time that this was a tribal war.
It is.
That
That's
these
exactly right, yeah.
boundaries were set doesn't mean that people abide by them. They are more loyal to the tribes than they are to their actual country.
Yeah, and also White House being asked questions yesterday about the government of the Iraqi government right now favoring, of course, they're a Shia-backed government, favoring the Shia militias over the Sunni populations in the Anbar province. And also a very concerning story, too, which you just talked about, on a human scale as well, that Palmyra, that ancient city in Syria, and we've seen this over and over again, ISIS destroying these ancient artifacts.
I was so relieved to hear that they've been moved, right?
Well, not everything. So much has been lost already. So much has been lost to history. And they're trying to save as much as they can. We got much more to come up here on Newsmax Now, including the latest on Hillary Clinton's first comments to the press in more than a month. You know,
are you happy? Are you celebrating?
I still want to hear more from Mrs. Clinton. The president also talking global warming at the graduation of the U.S. Coast Guard Academy. We'll break it all down. Another hour, Newsmax Now, coming up.
You're smiling a little bit.